McKennie, Adams, Miazga in top tier of U.S. soccer player pool. Chester, Pa. App. Midfielders Weston McKennie and Tyler Adams have played their way onto the top tier of the U.S. player pool along with defender Matt Miazga, according to interim coach Dave Sarachan, who says the trio would receive strong consideration for a World Cup roster if the Americans were headed to Russia in June. With the U.S. rebuilding following its failure to qualify for the tournament, Sarachan will continue to rely on youth for upcoming exhibitions against Bolivia, Ireland and France. Veterans such as Clint Dempsey, Tim Howard, Jozy Altidore and Michael Bradley could have a role either in friendlies this autumn or when competitive matches resume in the summer of 2019. I do think those guys, some of them, will factor in terms of the Gold Cup, in terms of the next round of qualifying, Sarachan said Wednesday. I think it would be important to bring some of those veterans guys back. Dempsey, who turned 35 last month, is tied with Landon Donovan for the U.S. record of 57 international goals. The older guys, they're valuable in the succession of everything, to mentor, to show these young guys what it really takes and what it is to be a part of the national team, Sarachan said. But as far as that goes, you know, sometimes a tie is alright, right? Share the spoils. Christian Pulisic, the Americans' 19-year-old star midfielder, will be on the roster for the May 28 match against Bolivia in the Philadelphia suburbs. Pulisic, who is from Hershey, Pennsylvania, has not played for the national team since the 2-1 loss at Trinidad and Tobago in October that eliminated the U.S. from World Cup contention. While U.S. training starts May 21, Pulisic will report late so he can remain with Borussia Dortmund for a postseason exhibition at LAFC on May 22. He was pretty gutted after that game, Sarachan said of the loss in Trinidad. There's a lot of demands of a guy like Christian. He's being pulled in a lot of different directions. There's still some speculation, this didn't come from him directly, but I know that there's some speculation that maybe he'll move from Dortmund. So I know there's a lot going on. And I'm trying to be helpful in the process to allow him a little wiggle room in terms of the national team now. Josh Sargent, the 18-year-old forward who joined Werder Bremen this year, also will be on the roster. The U.S. plays at Ireland on June 2 and at France on June 9, and Sarachan said many Europe-based players may skip the Bolivia match. Sarachan was the top assistant to Bruce Arena, who quit after the U.S. failed to qualify. Sarachan would like to be considered for the job going forward, but new U.S. Soccer Federation President Carlos Scudero plans to first hire a general manager for the men's national team, a new position. I would only be guessing at this point if it's someone in place before or after the World Cup, Sarachan said of the GM. The 63-year-old Sarachan coached Cornell from 1988-97 and the Chicago Fire from 2002-07. He does not consider himself to be an interim coach. I don't like that term personally. I hate using the word interim, he said. I'm the men's national soccer coach until they tell me I'm not. I'm not naive to think that I'm a slam dunk candidate or not. I try not to even think through that other than at some point I have to figure out my next move if it's not going to be this. Since World Cup elimination, the U.S. has played a road draw at Portugal and home ties against Bosnia-Herzegovina and Paraguay. Sarachan has given national team debuts to 9 players, including Adams, McKennie, defender Cameron Carter-Vickers, forward Andrij Novakovic and midfielder Tim Wee, son of former FIFA Player of the Year and current Liberia President George Wee. I feel since November, when you could arguably say it was rock bottom in terms of U.S. soccer and the perception of it, I'd like to think that there's a little more hope with the program, the direction we're going, with the exciting young talent that's emerging, he said. And that makes me feel proud, because I think the work kind of speaks for itself at this point, meaning young guys are getting great minutes.